Welcome to the Brilliantly Resilient podcast. What's your train wreck? Everyone has one. The question is, are you going to live there or are you just visiting? Let's check in with Mary Fran and Kristen to learn how to come through not broken, but brilliant.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. And before we jump into the really cool stuff that we're going to bring you today, we have a super important message for you.
Did you hear that Brilliantly Resilient, the book, is out in the world and it landed on the top 100 bestsellers list? That's where it debuted. We're so excited. Go get it at Amazon.com. Search Brilliantly Resilient and you'll see it in Kindle and paperback. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. I'm so excited today about our guest because I heard first about Rob Kenney, who you will all better know as the Dad How Do I guy. I first came across him on the internet, and then my daughter said, Mom, you got to see this guy. He's so cool, and you got to have him on the show, which is exactly what I was thinking. So we are so excited today to welcome Rob Kenney, the Dad How Do I guy. Rob, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm going to let you tell the story basically, but Rob is the Dad How Do I guy because people come to him and find out how to do stuff. So I'm going to let you tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll get into your story.
Yeah, so my name is Rob Kenney. Like you said, I started the Dad How Do I channel during the pandemic last year. It's actually been a year. April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Happy. Oh, well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. The joke was on me. And then I had my first upload April 2nd. And it just went viral in May. And it's kind of crazy. It's, I talk to my adult kids all the time. And so the idea was to kind of put together this channel with a lot of adulting type of things, and thought we'd get 30 or 40, followers that we could, kind of pass on some of the knowledge that I had that I'd gained over the years. And yeah, the story resonated on a different level than I ever imagined, as you can see. So.
Wow. So tell us about what are the topics that you talk about Dad How Do I? Yeah,
so I started it. So first one was how to tie a tie, and some basic stuff around the house. And, I told my daughter when we first started talking about this a few years ago, and then I ran out of excuses with the pandemic because I was at home. And so that's why I went ahead and started it. And I told her, I said, there's so much more to being a dad than just running around the house fixing things. I would like to be able to, at some point, share some knowledge, some wisdom that I've learned over the years too, and didn't know how that would come across because I didn't want to trick people. Hey, come in and learn how to, fix your toilet, and here, let me preach at you or whatever. But when my channel went viral, I got the ability. I had the ability to kind of punt because I was so overwhelmed. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm being asked to interview, and I didn't have time to put up a how-to. So I just kind of went on there and said, thank you. And I also did one on, I'm proud of you. So I was able to kind of pass along a little bit of wisdom. And so that kind of happened naturally. And then we've gotten into reading children's books too. So kind of all over the place, trying to cover the whole thing. And people have been very gracious. I've got the best subscribers ever. I just uploaded a video saying, this is the 1 year anniversary, and I have 0 dislikes. I have over 3,500 likes and 0 dislikes. I've never seen a video where there's not a single dislike. So that might change while we're talking here. Somebody
just to be spiteful will go, oh yeah, I'll give you a dislike.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I'll pick you. But you know what I love about this? Very often, and I think every parent who has kids as they grow recognizes that the way you get to talk to your kids is when they're distracted by something else. So the idea that you build that trust with people by saying like, okay, here's how you fix a leaky toilet. Here's how you fix the leaky faucet. And then you can sneak those little pearls of wisdom in there. And then as that relationship grows, it becomes an even broader opportunity for you to say things like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And, I also, when I'm teaching, there's people that teach you stuff to show how much they know. I try to teach people so they can learn how to do stuff. We've all been there where it's like, oh, can you help me with this? And then somebody comes in, showing
you
how
do
smart,
this and you do that. You do this. Yeah.
Like,
don't show me how smart you are. Just let me, here's how dumb I am. Show me how to fix this.
Right. You walk away going, okay, I don't know anything. And now I feel even more dumb. So I do try to, talk to, like I'm talking to my own kids. And the advice I try to give is along the lines of what I'm, helping my own kids with. So I'm trying to empower people. Honestly, I hope to. And, when my channel first came out, people were pigeonholing me and saying, oh, that's so nice. He's doing that for young men. Well, you know what? It's everybody. I want everybody and anybody to come in and learn how to do stuff, because it empowers you. I remember the first time, and I shared this in my book, I built my fence. And it kind of was like, oh, I did that, and so then I can do this, and then I do that, and then we've done tiling, I've done roofing, I've done all kinds of stuff since then, because it kind of made me realize that, if you kind of break it down into baby steps, maybe it's not as hard. There's a place for an electrician, there's a place for a plumber. Don't get me wrong, I'm not acting like I can do everything, but I think we could probably do a lot more than we know, rather than call somebody every time we have a problem around the house.
I love it. I love it. And I would have to imagine that your audience must be ginormously broad.
Oh, it's all over the place and all over the world, I mean, I've done interviews in Australia and in South Africa and in Germany, and it's all over the place. And it's men, women, young people. I've had one person come on and say, I'm your 80-year-old daughter. And part of it too, what she had said was she likes the dad feels, just she misses her dad and likes, it's like it brings a little bit of remembrance of her own dad.
I have to tell you, that is exactly the feeling that I had. I lost my dad. It's coming up on 26 years now. He passed away from a brain aneurysm. It was very sudden. Not that you're ever ready for that, but in a moment, that presence that you realize is important in your life, but you don't realize how important it is in your life until it's not there anymore. And when that's gone, it just leaves this gaping hole, and I got to be honest with you. I don't always watch your videos to learn how to jumpstart a car. I watch your videos for the dad jokes and just to listen to you, because it brings my dad back, for those few minutes. And that's an enormous thing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that was something unintended. I had people come on and say, I watched you tie a tie and I was bawling. I'm like, I just thought I was showing you how to tie a tie. And then I've had people say they come on and watch me shave just because it brings back memories of watching their dad shave. I was on a national interview, and before we even got started, the interviewer started crying. She was tearing up, and I'm like, boy, are you okay? And it was really, it was just bringing back memories of her own dad.
Yeah. And those are times that you don't always get to appreciate with your dad in the moment.
Yeah.
So there, that memory that you give access to for people is a gift, and I'm sure an entirely different way than you intended.
Absolutely. Yeah. This thing, so that's why, like we were talking, earlier, I am kind of straight to the point. I just thought I was going to give you some, I go to YouTube for something for help, and I'll watch a 20-minute video for that 1-minute nugget. And I feel like, I'm wasting so much time. Why isn't there a resource where I could just get to the point and tell me what I need? So that was the original intent, but I've kind of gotten away from that because there's certain things that just take a while, you know. So some videos just take a little longer because I want to kind of cover everything for you as we're going through it, so you're not going, well, he didn't show me that part and suddenly the shelf is up or whatever. So I try to walk you through everything.
Well, you do a lot of meaningful add-ins to that, as opposed to when my ex-husband first left, my daughter and I were trying to figure out the ride-on tractor mower, and we went to YouTube. Can I tell you how many men are on YouTube showing you the entire garage and everything they own? And even my daughter was like, just show us how to start the thing.
Yeah.
Old guys in their garages. I'm like, I don't know, Chris.
What is it with guys in their garages?
But you used a word early on. You said it's empowering. And Rob, that's the thing that I wanted to land on today, because coming at this as a single mom, you know, like that night when I had to figure out that mower, because I did not want to have to call that person, I'll say it just like that person to come over and fix it. I didn't, you know, I'm so close to my dad, and I have 4 brothers, but everybody lives everywhere. So to ask them, I didn't want to put them out again to come over to my house. Like, those are the kinds of things that I have all these wonderful men in my life, but sometimes I just feel like I'm putting too many people out too often. And then someone like you comes along. Like when one of my sons had to learn how to tie a tie one night before a really big thing. And I had to go to the video about how to tie the tie. And I can't even tell you, it didn't just empower me, it empowered him. And we got through something, because it is hard when you don't have that, when they don't have a dad that can just do that thing that fast with them. Or at that point, my son didn't have access to even talk to him on the phone or FaceTime to be able to walk through that. So then it was like, it could have been a night of our life sucks. It could have been a night like that, as opposed to, hey, look, YouTube is great for everything. And we made a really big deal out of it, and we're able to move on.
Nice. Yeah. A relative, I don't know if I want to name her, but her son, he went to tie a tie and he didn't have a dad. And and it brought, not only that, but it brought up the reminder of he didn't have a dad. And so yes. He, you know, emotionally to him, it was kind of tough. From what I hear, that's what she shared with me. And it's not that, you know, they can't avoid everything where there's that missing person, but there are some days that it's just one thing after the other, a reminder of that empty space at the table. And that's why it's empowering, and it's extraordinary that you do stuff like this to fill that void and make it entertaining and fun too. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you. I came from a broken home myself, and so part of that was, you know, when I was young, when I was 14, I went to live with my brother, and because my dad chose to not have kids anymore, which really is that was his words. You know, I'm done raising kids, and like, well.
We aren't raised yet. Hello, we aren't raised. What time is this? Wait, is that an option? Could I have had that option when my son decided to go down the path that he went down to just check out? I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, I put that in my book. I said, I didn't know that was an option. It's not. You know?
It's not.
But yeah, so that was hard. You know, I went to live with my brother. Thankfully, there was a chance I could go to foster home, but I ended up going. My brother stepped up. He was 9 years older than me. Him and his wife, they were newly married, and we lived, living in an 8x35 trailer. I've always called it a mobile home, but it was a trailer. It was a glorified trailer, and I slept in the back of that on a shelf. My brother built a shelf and put a bed on it. That was my bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
For a couple of years. And my brother's great. He's taught me a lot. He's a journeyman, or he's retired now, but he was a journeyman cabinet maker. So I learned a lot of little handy things from him, but there's a lot of things I didn't learn from him. I learned how to tie a tie from my roommate when I was about 19. And I just picked up things along the way. And so that's what I've tried to do, is tried to share the knowledge that I've had for somebody else that, you know, I'm ancient. So YouTube wasn't around when I was a kid, but if I can pass this along to somebody else that, so they don't have to maybe struggle. And I wanted to kind of put it all in one place. Okay, I'm going to download what I know. Once I run out of what I know, well, I don't know what I'm going to do then. I'm not going to pretend I know more than I know. But I do, there's still such huge possibilities, because I'm going to show how to fish, I'll show how to play golf, different things like that, and just kind of walk you through it. So, and if there aren't very many views, that's fine. I'm not after the views. I'm trying to provide a resource that you can, hang out with me and let's go do this and let's go do that and learn how to do things. So it's all in one place.
All right. And I'm going to want to be the top on your email list to know when the golf video is coming out. That is my newest thing. Every now and again, I try to learn something new to get out of my own head and just like focus on something that I am terrible at and get better. And I got to tell you, Rob, me and golf are not getting along very well. My softball swing comes out, my soccer impatience comes out, and I am like, oh my God, it's something I'm working on.
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's one of those things that you can play for a long time compared to some of those other sports, right? You kind of have to let go of those, where golf, and you got to be kind to yourself. I think that's a big thing. I don't play golf a ton. And so when I go out and play and I shank one, I go, if this was that important to me, I'm sure I could be really good at it. But, there's other things that are important in my life. I can't spend, I'm not going to be Tiger Woods, because I'm not going to spend 8 hours a day away from my family or away from important things to get really, really good at this. Yeah. So I think I can teach the basics, but also, keep it in perspective of what it is.
Wait, I love that you say, oh, if I shank one, then okay, well, I have other important things. Me, I'm like Ted Knight in Caddyshack, throwing the club, I get on the head. Because I'll hit them really, really good. And then I'm like, what was that?
Well, here's one of the things that I really love about you. And you just summed it up when you said you have to be kind to yourself. And that you have a couple of sayings, you got this, and be good to yourself. There are a couple, I saw the t-shirts that you have a couple of t-shirts, and I think I got the sayings right. Yep. But, not everybody has that relationship with their dad, where their dad is telling them to be kind to themselves. Some people have dads who are really, really hard on them. So your demeanor and the welcoming presence and the fact that, you're not preaching to them, but you don't have to. You say, be good to yourself. You got this. Those little.
Yeah, I hope so. Something that, not to get catchy, but to get something, something that reminds yourself, hey, maybe this isn't that important, or maybe I don't need to be so hard on myself for this. And so I broke down what I meant by be good to yourself too, because I don't mean to be selfish. I did a video where I did some t-shirt giveaways. And I broke it down and I used the acronym S.E.L.F, where, serve others, eat and exercise was the E, 2 E's. So it's S.E.L.F really, but, and then L was learn something to educate yourself, because it's empowering when you learn something. And then F was, forgive somebody, because it's in your own best interest, even though that's hard and people have been hurt on many different levels. It's for me, having to forgive my dad. It set me free, because I was no longer holding that against him, and it was eating me up inside, for the longest time. And so forgiving him, or I said or forgiving yourself, because we're not perfect, and you need to be able to move on, because we tend to beat ourselves up, and expect perfection when really none of us are perfect.
And, that's something that, not all men are good at expressing that, especially to their children. As I said, some dads are tough on their kids, and to hear that from a man, hey, sometimes, you got to forgive people. You got to forgive yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. That's a huge, huge lesson. And to hear that in little bites, nobody likes to be lectured to. You have these real short, sweet sayings that, those in themselves empower people in a very different way than you started out to. Right.
So, my wife and I went to Italy, and visited Rome in 2019. And I shared this in my book too. It really was, kind of eye-opening for me. And I guess, my wife and I, we've raised our kids. Our kids are out of the home and they're doing great. They're thriving. Okay, but now what? Now, we're still, I'm ancient, but I'm young. So life to live, right? And so it's like, what? And you look at Rome and you see, such a powerful place at one time, right? Ruled the world of the time. And now it's just kind of ruins. It's, these statues of people that are gone, right? They lived their life, they're gone.
They used to be big shots and now they're not.
Right. And you think about the time with the persecution, with Nero and all that. And he was such a, massive figure. Gone. Gone. These people are all gone. And, I think in our own lives too, we have these big problems that come up and it's like, oh, how am I going to get through this? And then, oh, that's in the rearview mirror now. And now I'm onto this and I'm onto that. So anyway, that was, my wife and I, again, just kind of trying to process the empty nest thing. Cause we, again, raised good adults. We wanted them to move out, but wait, you moved out.
Now what?
What are we going to do with ourselves? And so that's one of the nice things about this channel is it's giving me the ability to, again, kind of, okay, now I got some renewed thing that I can pass on to other people, to share.
You never get tired of telling your kids what to do. Let's be serious. Yeah, that never gets old.
Yeah, eventually they listen.
We talk all the time, so, and they're very, I love my kids. But you're not, it's much more, you're kind of helping shape things now rather than, teaching them individual things anyway.
Something beautiful about that. So now let's talk about your book. You're releasing this book. It's so exciting. How did this come about? Tell us what it's called. Tell us what's inside.
Yeah, so it comes out May 18th, and I'll actually be on the Today Show on May 18th when the book comes out, so that's pretty exciting. So I had a few publishers actually reach out to me when my channel went viral, wanting, making me offers. I didn't know what I was doing, and again, my wife and I have shared. We didn't build the foundation before this thing blew up, and it was like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Because we weren't, planning on having this be a thing. I was, we planned well and kind of figured we'd retire like an average American. And and then this thing came up, and so we're trying to figure it out. So the book's called Dad, How Do I? And it has, so the first part of it is I share some, so I'm one of 8 kids, and I'm number 7. And I share a character trait. My siblings are great, and they have more than one character trait, but I picked one character trait. When I turned 50, I'll be 57 end of May. When I turned 50, I went around to each of my siblings and said, Mary, this is what I remember. My oldest sister's name's Mary. Said, I remember that family was really important. Mary did everything she could to kind of keep us together, even though we were in different places. And then my brother Tim, who's since passed, he what I talk about questioning authority. Questioning authority can be a good thing as long as you do it respectfully, and so because you got to live your own life. You're not going to live somebody else's life. If somebody has something, well, bring something else to the table and let's talk about it and try to figure it out. And so anyway, so I go through each of my siblings, and so that's the first part of the book. And then the second part of the book is 50 how-tos, and I actually have some bonus how-tos at the end too. So just kind of some basic stuff all over the place. A lot of financial stuff that I learned the hard way. How to write a check, and then how to invest in mutual funds, and there's kind of a little bit for everybody. And so the reason I did bonus ones, because I thought, well, if the 50, I don't want people going, well, that was kind of lame, Dad. So I put 8 additional ones at the end, so that way it fills in if you feel like you got cheated on one of the how-tos.
I gotta tell you, nobody's gonna feel like they got cheated with you, Rob. There's just no way.
Oh, well, that's kind. Thank you.
There's just no way.
Yeah, I shared recently too. I got to throw this in. It's kind of funny. So I just did the audio version of it, and I just shared this on my last video. I was like a little kid because I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I'm there, I show up and these guys are being so kind to me and kind of walking me through the steps of what to do. And yeah, and then I never heard my stomach grumble so much in my life. So I read the sentence and then, oh, I got to do that again. And so they ended up giving me this huge pillow on top of my stomach to kind of dampen my stomach noise.
That's so funny. He should have just given you a cheesesteak. Would have solved all the problems.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So, I know that you've said that this was completely unintended, which sometimes is the beauty of things. And I think that's probably a lesson that you can even sort of pass on to your crew. Like, hey, sometimes you start stuff and whoa, look what happens. And you just kind of have to go with it. So what do you see happening down the road with all of this?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. Whatever happened, I just want to, I think a big thing, I'm trying to help as many people as we possibly can. My daughter helps me a lot with my channel. And the big goal is to, help as many people in as many ways as we can. I'm trying to encourage dads too, that maybe, and I did a video on this too, about integrity and thinking long-term about your decisions, because they have ripple effects. You run after a shiny thing and you bail. Well, somebody's behind you cleaning up that mess,
Mm-hmm.
So please think long-term about your decisions. So it's kind of all, we're trying to help as many people in as many ways as possible. Yeah. So as long as it makes sense and people don't get tired of me, we'll continue to upload. And yeah, I don't want to be somebody that, hey, come see me, it's like, okay, let's build this thing. And then if it fades out, it fades out. I'm okay with that.
I think you really hit on something there that a lot of dads can benefit from this too. I mean, you have a very easygoing, welcoming manner, and these things don't come with a playbook. I mean, let's be serious. Like nobody says, of course, there are a million books how to be a dad, but none of them actually has the answer. Same
Right.
as you can read all the parenting books that you want, but until you get into it, nobody knows how to do this correctly. So I think that's actually a very cool natural evolution for this whole thing. Like, it's not only talking to the kids, but talking to the dads. Here's how you dad.
Yeah, hopefully, and again, not to be preachy, I'm a man of faith. And so I want to, I do want to help people in whatever way I can. I think that's what God would want me to do, to try to share a little bit of his a little bit of God's love and, in my finite manner, the best I can. Yeah. So if I can kind of pass that along and help people understand, how to do things, we want to keep that going and try to get people to be kind to each other. And, in our society right now, we got a lot going on where people get shouted down. Well, we need to slow down and talk to each other, because you might learn something. You might have this idea of this is how it is. Well, maybe you need to hear the other side, and maybe you might change your mind, but if you shout them down or if you don't let them talk, that doesn't benefit anybody. We need to be able to talk to each other.
I don't know.
Awesome.
I'm feeling like you might be giving Tom Hanks a run for his money as far as America's Dad goes. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know. I could see movie roles. I'm just saying.
So there is a possibility of a TV show. So that we've been.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so we've got a production company that's been working on it and pitching it, and there's a few big names that are interested. So we'll see. I'm trying to. I shared this in my book too. Hold with an open hand. It's like, okay, if this, so God can put in and God can take out as He sees fit, and so trying to just be, trying to do the best we can with what we have.
Well, I want to direct people to your website too, because the thing that I loved about your website, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's the videos. Like there's which is perfect, because there's so much noise out there. And I just love that you know what you're about, you know what you want to do, you know what you want to share with people, and that's it. here's who I am. Take it or leave it. I hope it helps you. If it doesn't, have a great day. God bless you. Like, that's pretty much the tone of it, right?
It is. Yeah. Thank you for appreciating that. Because I do have people, oh, your editing needs work, or it's like, you know what? I shoot the videos on my phone, and I have an app that I edit the software for the video with, and then I just upload it and off we go. My daughter helps make me look good with my social channels. So she does Facebook and Instagram for me. And so I kind of keep an eye on them, but I don't, she does all that.
But you're a one-stop shop for the most part. And you know what? You figured out how to do it, and it's about the message. That's what I love about it. It's not, let's get the lighting right. Let's do no.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, that's very kind of you. That's kind of what I'm after, because again, I've had many people say, "Oh, I can edit your thumbnails for you, or I can do this," and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I need it. I'm just trying to be helpful. And I had one person send me a video where my eyes bugged out. I'm, whoa, like, what is that?
What's that?
What am I going to do with that? I don't know. That's kind of off brand, isn't it?
That's a little scary. That's more my brand.
Suddenly you're a Looney Tunes cartoon. Wow.
Yeah, well, that's what I was like. I don't know what I do with that.
It's a great lesson, though, that when your content is strong enough, you don't need that.
Well, that's what I hope to, because again, I want it to be a place where you can come in and learn how to do stuff. I mean, and I can share dad jokes that fits, right? It makes sense. But to have me, I don't know, be a Looney Tunes, like you said.
Yeah, you're right. Totally off brand, even though we're not worrying about brand. That is totally off brand. Yeah. So I want everybody to know where they can find you. So I want them to see your very direct website. So tell us about that, and tell us where they can get the book.
Yeah. So I probably should have been prepared to where to get the book.
Well, let's put it this way. It'll be available everywhere, May 18th.
Yeah, May 18th. And you should be able to see it everywhere. I have to figure out where the link is. Maybe I can send you the link.
We'll put that in our show notes and everything. That'll go in there.
Okay. Yeah. So my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/dadhowdoi. And then dadhowdoiofficial.com is my website that we set up, because we do sell a little bit of some of the shirts and stuff too, but we haven't really pushed that. People were asking, and so we created it, so that people would have access to it if they wanted it.
Well, it's phenomenal. I mean, everything is just, you're so genuine, you're so authentic. You had a mission, and that's the mission, and all this other fluff and stuff and everything else that comes at you, it's like, no, it doesn't fit with the mission. So stick with the mission. You lead with your heart, obviously, and it's just been such a joy to talk to you today. We're so grateful that you took the time out of which I imagine is getting to be a very busy schedule, to join us.
As we head into, thankfully you're ahead of the curve. I think as we head into when the book comes out, and then Father's Day, if it's anything like last year, it was every day I had several interviews lined up, heading up to Father's Day. But yeah, so now we're good right now. You're catching me while I'm fresh.
Woo! Thank goodness. We got
in the nick of time.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So everybody, Rob, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, please make sure you check out Dad, How Do I? Because even if you don't really need to know how to fix your sink stopper or start the car, you're just going to love Rob for the dad jokes and for the wisdom and everything else that he imparts. So Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you guys need a little bit more help in getting your own brilliantly resilient journey started, check out our website, brilliantlyresilient.net. There's a cool download at the very beginning. It's 5 steps to jumpstart your brilliantly resilient journey. Did I forget anything? I always ask Kristen at the end, because I usually do.
No, you can also, while you're on YouTube, after you check out some of the Dad, How Do I videos, go check out some of the episodes of Brilliantly Resilient, where you'll find this episode as well.
Okay, everybody, have a great week. Have a great day. Rob, thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you all next time on Brilliantly Resilient Live.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to the Brilliantly Resilient podcast. Join our Facebook group and follow us on YouTube to be inspired with tools to reset, rise, and reveal your brilliance.